What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another review for Monday Night Raw. This one is October 9th, 1995. This Raw opens with a six-man tag match between Yokozuna, Owen Hart, and the British Bulldog versus The Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, and Diesel. Talk about a main event match, but they're blowing it in the first hour. Actually, back then, the first hour was the full hour, so never mind. We saw a video of Shawn visiting some kids, and I couldn't tell if he was being sincere or not, but he started saying how much it meant to him being a role model for them. He's a hell of an actor if he wasn't being serious, because he fooled me. Something that Shawn isn't playing us for fools with is his wrestling ability for sure. Him and Owen have a good little sequence to start off the match, and also to begin the match, Yokozuna gets taken out by The Undertaker and Diesel, and when Yokozuna gets up, he walks into the post like an idiot. How the mighty have fallen. To be fair, he's always been afraid of The Undertaker, so it makes sense that he's all out of sorts. They start working on Shawn to build up the hot tag. Something they keep doing is have guys come out to the entranceway. Dean Douglas has been the main one, and he does this again during this match. He is challenging for the Intercontinental title at the next In Your House, but Waylon Mercy was also out there when the match first started. They maybe just told these guys to go stand out there so that they could show off their new stage. This is the longest that I can recall them doing the build to a hot tag. Must have gone like 5 to 7 minutes here. It went through two commercial breaks, so if this was live, it would have been at least 8 minutes that they were building the hot tag to. Diesel does get the hot tag and cleans house. Bulldog though hits the power slam, but Taker comes in for the save. And with Taker being escorted out, Bulldog gets the arm over to pin the WWF champion. Diesel gets protected here and gives you the impression that Bulldog has a shot of beating him. Then Mabel comes out to attack the Undertaker after the match. Bulldog and Owen beat up Diesel, and Dean Douglas comes out to attack Shawn Michaels. He lays him out on the steel steps. Referees try to come out to break it up, but what can they do with all that beef in the ring? Eventually they leave and we just see Taker, Diesel, and Shawn all laid out. Match was fine when it started, but it took way too long for the hot tag. Then ends right after that. But yeah, with all the talent in this match, I would have expected it to be a little bit better, excluding Yokozuna. You could have given it like another 7 or so minutes after the hot tag, but no, it just kind of ended right after the hot tag. So, following that, we recap some more of the feud between Jerry Lawler and Bret Hart, leading to next week's match between Bret Hart and Isaac Yankem in a steel cage. Bret is going after the WWF title in November for the Survivor Series pay-per-view. So hopefully this is the end for Bret being in anything but main event feuds. It's been like a year and a half maybe of Bret doing stuff outside of the main event, basically just feuding with Jerry Lawler. And then also, if Jerry Lawler interferes in the match next week, he will be locked inside of a cage of his own, so we'll see how he interferes. Next up, we have Skip versus Fatu. Fatu gets it going, but Sonny hops on the apron to distract him. It almost works, but Fatu catches Skip with the right hand. Back body drop gets telegraphed. He jumps over and hits a kick to the back of the head, and Skip does the leapfrog halfway. Wonder if he did that to be different? It looked terrible because it just seemed like he couldn't do a leapfrog correctly. Vince on commentary calls Skip an idiot, so if it was a question before, we got our answer here to what they think of Skip. Skip hits a flying headbutt, but because Fatu is Samoan, and Samoans have hard heads, it hurts Skip. Then Skip goes for a superplex, but Fatu able to avoid it, sends Skip falling and nails the splash for the win. Fatu mocks Skip as he celebrates the win, and Sonny is pissed. Doc Hendricks supposedly going to give us an interview, but there are some audio issues, so they cut away, show some other stuff, and then cut back, and we get the interview. Doc tells us that he will do an ambush interview because they don't want to talk. Vince tells him not to do the interview then. So instead, we get an interview with Jim Cornette, who hypes up Bulldog for his WWF title match, and now he has some momentum after pinning him earlier. Bulldog reminds us that he beat Bret Hart at Wembley Stadium and has now beaten the WWF champion Diesel, and he will do it again at In Your House at the hellhole known as Winnipeg, and will take the WWF title home to England. Mabel comes in and gives his 2 cents about his match versus The Undertaker and gives us the classic heel laugh.
I'm gonna bury you underneath a mountain of snow!
Yeah, takes a king to know a king, McMahon. What about that?
Besides some more words from Vince McMahon and Jerry Lawler, they also show a video package for Bret Hart and Yankem next week. This show was all downhill after the opening bell for the 6-man tag. Seeing Owen and Shawn, I was prepared for a 4-star classic. Would have said 5, but it wasn't in the Tokyo Dome. And it couldn't have been 7 either because there was no Kenny Omega. But come on, Shawn, Taker, Bulldog, Owen in a bad match? Not possible, or at least I thought. It wasn't horrendous by any means, but it just dragged with how long they wore Shawn down, and then the match was over right after the hot tag. Then they showed the match between Brett and Yankum at SummerSlam, almost the whole thing, which took up like 10 minutes. Then Skip versus Fatu for no reason, and then it's just backstage promos to end the show. Not really sure what they were doing here, and I believe this was not a live show, so maybe that's why it felt boring. Because I couldn't imagine that this is what they put up against Nitro if it was live. I probably would have, stayed with WCW on this show because they had Sting, Luger, and Savage in a segment. They had Hulk Hogan come out, he's the world champion. Of course, at this point, nobody really cares about this feud, or at least looking back on it. I don't know what people thought about this feud back in the day, if they were interested, or if they saw it as corny as I see it right now. But yeah, Hulk Hogan was still the world champion. He came out, and then you had Arn Anderson versus Ric Flair in a steel cage. Two of the members of the Four Horsemen in a steel cage, which was supposed to be like a grudge match, heavily promoted match. It ended terrible, but at the same time, you didn't know that it was going to end terrible. So that WCW episode was better than what they did on Monday Night Raw. But yeah, that's going to be it for this one. I am out.